Our focus this morning is on the ongoing political campaigns by the two main coalitions, the Jubilee and NASA. President Uhuru Kenyatta leads his Jubilee team to Embu County a day after he campaigned in Kirinyaga, while NASA's flag bearer Raila Odinga will be leading his troops on the second day of campaigns in Narok County, with a major rally expected in Narok town. His campaigns are expected to be largely centered on the land issue. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is News Center. We want to have a conversation here in studio, and I invite you to chime in. Hashtag, of course, is News Center, at Betty M. Kialo. That's my Twitter handle. If you'd like to get involved and be part of the conversation, that is what you can use to reach me. Let me introduce my panel of guests, very interesting guests I have this morning. Jesse Odoro on my immediate right. He is a lawyer and a political analyst. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. We also have Peter Munga seated at the center. He is also a political analyst. Thank you for your time. And then last but not least, we have Musalia Siongo, who is an independent candidate for the Langata parliamentary seat. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, I want us to start from the campaign trail, and I don't know if you've been watching the news and following what has been happening, especially in central Kenya, where the president has been visiting very many times. The message he gets, even before he gets on the ground, is like, don't come and talk to us about a six-piece, voting direction. We saw that in Murang'a. We saw it in Tharaka Nithi, in Nyeri. I mean, almost every place that he's going. What does that say about, the politics and the campaigns this time round? Remember, yesterday he was in Kirinyaga and he could not even endorse anybody. Martha Karua was there, Anne Waiguru was there. That's why my colleague Chris was saying that he was caught between a rock and a hard place. What does that say about our politics right now and the kind of campaigns we're seeing? I'll start with you, Jesse.
I think Kenyan politics is actually revolving at a very high rate compared to the previous elections. This is informed by the virtue of the new Elections Act, which was amended that stopped the party hopping thing. So in the event that you don't like how the party primaries were conducted, which of course most of them we agree were shambolic, then you have an option of vying as an independent. Now, the next parliament is going to be very interesting because you're going to have the two sets of coalitions having their people in parliament. And then you're also going to have the independents. I hope, sorry, my friend will also be there. Now, Moses will be there. Now, the independents' headache is a headache not just for Uhuru, even for NASA. Because when you realize the Uhuru's language, when he went to, for instance, in Nakuru, he had to prevail upon the current governor, Kinudhi Ambugwa, to step down on behalf of Likinyanjui. But then the dynamics in Central, where his stronghold is different. Different because he's assured of the presidential vote. But then the moment you endorse one candidate, for instance, he endorses Waiguru at the expense of Martha Karua and at the expense of the current governor, then chances are very high you're going to drive voter apathy. So the candidates of this gubernatorial aspirant are going to abstain from voting, and in effect is going to mess up the president's numbers. And this election, unlike other elections, is not about strongholds. The person who's going to carry the day is going to be dependent upon the voter turnout at the end of the day.
All right, interesting. Peter, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Actually, it's not just the president in Central. You must have seen in Siaya when the former prime minister was there, and you saw the issue of Nicholas Gumbo, his supporters. Obviously, Raila Odinga will get votes in Nyanza, and you see he has to walk the thin line. He doesn't know how to. It's a very tricky situation, and I saw it also in Kakamega, whereby I saw the governor going around, one of the governors going around to seek votes, but he cannot now mention the name of an MCA whom he wants. So it's trickling down from the top to the bottom throughout the election.
And what does that say about? Is it that our politics is kind of like maturing?
Actually, it's mature. I think we have reached a place where I feel we are reaching a level as Kenyans we can be proud. When we see what's happening, when we discover that we can tell our politicians on the face that we are not going to vote six-piece. We are voting according to somebody's qualities and the content of his character. So I tend to think Kenyans, we are now reaching there. We are now talking.
All right. So I'd like to hear your thoughts, especially being an independent candidate. Where does this place all the other independent candidates, that we're not going to be voting this party, on all positions, but there are opportunities for other people like you?
Well, first and foremost, Betty, I want to be very categorical that I'm very pleased Both the pundits here are giving me a lot of hope.
That's a good thing.
Politics is evolving in this country. But it also shows that the democratic processes, which are not yet very mature within the parties, completely refute the ideology that people get the leaders they deserve. In many times in this country, they have not. And so the idea of the independent candidature allows the people to readdress these issues. Beyond that, maybe I want to touch on a few things. There is no such party as independence. We are not collective. I have those problems within the constituency, where because I am perhaps the most prominent candidate at this point, all other independent candidates at the MCA level think Mimi ndio baba yao, which is fine. But we're all on our own here. Okay. It's between us and the people. When it comes to presidential candidacy and arithmetic, I once worked at Raila Odinga Center, so perhaps I have a good idea of what we're talking about here. If you look at the last general election, give or take that we are quite sure Jubilee played some games, and perhaps some of the pundits here might refute that. I want to say this, the difference of the numbers that stopped the runoff is 8,000, not 80,000, 8,000. Now, there is no certainty for any one candidate unless everybody comes out to vote. That has to be clear. And here's how it works out. If Msari Siongo is standing and is NASA leaning, if Oscar Omoke or Alex Ouda, they're still in court, are standing, and they're NASA leaning, all their supporters are going to come out to the polling station. They might vote for me, they might vote for Oscar, they might vote for Alex, but what is certain is that they will definitely vote for Raila Amolo Odinga. So you need to get all your supporters out. In a way, I'm inviting the former Prime Minister to use us to bring out the numbers for him. Beyond that, I think what you're looking at nationally is very precarious, because you have parties within the NASA coalition which are very supportive and actually completely supportive of Raila Odinga's presidency. For instance, in Nairobi, the governor for Nairobi is wearing an orange coat and his tie is blue. Is orange and his deputy is Wiper. So how does he come down to the ground to the Langata people and tell them, don't vote in Wiper MCAs? That's very diabolic indeed, politically. So I think perhaps you have they're called coattail hangers, hanging around the former Prime Minister, telling him it has to be 6-piece, otherwise I'm going to lose my election. Right. But I would like to say this to all the voters who are there. Mama Ida Odinga came out very clearly, categorically, stating that she's asking for the vote for her husband. And now watu wengine wajitetee. Now, Betty, you are a woman, so you know that between what men tell you and what the wife tells you, the wife knows best.
Interesting. Okay, we'll continue the conversation, but for now I want us to take a look at something very interesting that is also developing. And candidates seeking to become the Nairobi governor are this morning facing off in a debate, very interestingly. Now, the debate at a city hotel is organized by the Kenya Alliance of Residents Association. Both the Jubilee candidate, Mike Sonko, and incumbent Evans Kidero will attend. Actually, I've just been told that Mike Sonko is not attending. Now, this particular debate will be focusing on key service delivery issues affecting residents of Nairobi, such as land and physical planning, environment, water, and sanitation. So let's just cross over there and just listen to a bit of what's happening, and then we continue with our conversation.
Even if section-wise, the entire water system, we put modern, high-volume capacity pipes that are able to transport water to be given to all Nairobians, even if it means at a fee. Number two, we have a lot of wastage in Nairobi in matters of water. Not that you don't have water in Nairobi, but when you have water, just watering grasses in the green courses, when people down here are just taking brown water, those are some of the things I not accept. But going forward, I know we have sufficient water for Nairobi. It is a question of distribution and supply. Whether through PPP or whether through this government or in alliance with the national government, water we shall give to all Nairobians. Because when we have given Nairobian waters, not just because it is life, a lot of 40% of medical issues will have been sorted.
Well, thank you so much. You've mentioned something about water, and I'd like Mr. Godfrey to respond to this. On Monday, we woke up to the news that the cost of water would still go up because of the water level in the Kaini Dam still going lower and lower. What is your solution in making sure that the 17 constituencies citizens living there have access to water in your regime if you become governor?
Yeah, you know, the mandate of water supply is divided between the Ministry of Water Affairs and the county government. The Nairobi Water Company handles the supply of water, but the supply of water, the infrastructure is managed by the Ministry of Water. So my county government will work with the Ministry of Water to make sure that Nairobi County has adequate sources of water. I know there are world institutions that are ready to fund infrastructure, and that work has to be done in conjunction with the Ministry of Water. But when the water is available, then the county government needs to manage the supply and reduce the wastage. Right now, it is estimated that about 40% of the water that is applied to Nairobi County is lost through wastages and leakage. And you find cartels supplying water to slums, but that water still comes from the county. My county government, first of all, will make sure that it will provide free water or water at minimum cost to the slum. You know, right now, people living in slums are spending more per liter of water than people living in slums. And that is linked to the question you asked him about the cholera outbreak, the sanitation. The problem of sanitation is water and sewage. You know, Nairobi, most part of Nairobi have rivers of sewage. And you find traders selling their food items along the sewage. And that is the source of the health problem that we have in the county. And it's because the county government has not been taking care of the sewage. The sewage in some places is there, but it's blocked.
Thank you so much. To you, Mr. Michael, talking about the slums, I had an opportunity to walk along the streets of Kibra, and the problem of garbage collection, where to dump solid waste, is still a major problem, and that really cuts across the board. What is that solution you have on the table regarding that matter?
Thank you. The issue of slums, we must look at it closely, is a ticking time bomb. We cannot, at this point in time, ignore slums. Kibra, Mathare, Kwanjenga, we can't. Why? Because one day, those guys are going to come out of their homes, in quotes, and go to Runda, go to Muthaiga, scale over the walls, and get inside, because we've ignored them. So I can say, in fact, even in addressing the issue of sanitation, when you go there, and thank you, Makazi, that you've gone there, you've seen how, in terms of dignity, how far we've fallen. It's a tragedy that those are human beings, just like we are. Yet, cholera, in simple terms, is eating our poop. That's how far we've fallen. It's by God's grace we don't have an epidemic right now in our county. So, in terms of solution, we must get it right between our ears, that this cannot continue. We must value each other. We must join hands as a county government, as a national government, as the business community, as the faith-based community, the churches, the mosques. Everybody must come together and ensure we have a robust plan in kicking out slum life. And ensure if it's housing that takes care of each and every person. A housing and facilities that ensures dignity of life is ensured. Because those are human beings, those are brothers and sisters, those are people. And these people are we are saying people are the greatest resource. So we must do our Islam.
Thank you so much. Miguna, recently there was a review a health review that was published in the Daily Nation Newsplex that noted that the number of children who were on outpatient visits was actually considerably high compared to other counties. And that really points to the health care situation we have in the county. What is your solution so that we have a healthy county going forward?
Mokazi, I would like to first of all deal with the solid waste management system. Nairobi is one of the very few cities in the world without an integrated solid waste management system. It's not just about sewers. It's sewers, real sewers. You have also to have a recycling system. The mantra is reduce, reuse, recycle. That has to be here. And we have to get rid of all the dump sites and get a real solid waste management system, because without a solid waste management system, as Macharia was saying, and my colleague here was saying, people will start just dying out of epidemics. So that's very critical, and that affects directly the health issue that you are raising. And of course, water is like oxygen. Without water, there will be no sanitation. Supply enough adequate, clean running water to every household. That is a must. And if you have that, and then you have real hospitals and health centers constructed. I'll give you an example. Tel Aviv is one of the driest cities in the world. Yet Tel Aviv does not have the same problems of Nairobi. What is the difference? The difference is leadership. The leadership there takes care of their citizens, and the leadership here steals from their citizens. How about Toronto? Toronto is the same size of Nairobi. 5 million people, 6 million people. They take care of the health. They have 58 referral teaching level hospitals in Toronto. And here we have one. Those are the problems. If we utilize the taxpayers' shillings well and provide for the citizens in terms of infrastructure and services, these problems will not be there. So these are the concrete solutions that I have in my manifesto.
Right, thank you so much. Back to you, Manakidero. Of course, the notion so far is nothing is really happening. And moving forward, we hope we will not try to put off other people's candles so that ours shine brighter. We focus on solutions. Probably talk to us about what you've done and why we should give you another chance to do more. And what is that more?
Thank you. I think we're discussing the issue of water. You know, water regulation is in the Water Act 2002, revised 2010, and the new Water Act 2016, which we took to court. Nairobi does not have sufficient water. The capacity is 700,000 cubic meters, which is down to 30% because of the drought that we have. We needed more investment to increase the capacity. And the first investment, which we worked with Athi Water, is the Northern Collector Tunnel, which will increase the capacity by 150,000 cubic meters. And that is still not sufficient. We are working on policy, on policy of recirculation of water, where the water from the kitchens and the bathrooms can be directed in one place where it can be recirculated. We are talking about the issue which Miguna has talked about, the solid waste management. Is true. Every city in the world, it should be sought out and recycle or use it for generation of energy. We've engaged a partner, which is going to cost, and these are things that are being done, not that we are going to do it, because the contracts have been signed. It's going to cost 27 billion shillings, where we'll have collection sites in all parts of the city, where we'll sort them out, and we're building a plant.
At the end of his term. At the end of his term.
Leadership is leadership. It doesn't matter even if it's at the end of my term. It will serve Nairobians even after long I'm gone. Because a lot of the things we're enjoying were decided long even before we were born. You don't do things because it has to be you. So this plant is going to cost, the process is going to cost 27 billion shillings. We've signed a partnership with a German firm, and this will be implemented in the next few months.